Good Wednesday evening, listeners, and welcome to another edition of Conversations of a Sister here on our YouTube channel. And tonight's conversation is we're talking about tomorrow's presidential debate. Tomorrow's presidential debate. Everybody is talking about it. There are some who are not excited about it, like me, and there are others who just can't wait to see the show or the circus, so to speak. But I thank you for tuning in tonight on this big, fat Wednesday evening. It is hot and humid here in the tri state area. We are in the process, I think, of receiving thunderstorms. So I thank you for tuning in with me tonight. Tonight's conversation is tomorrow's presidential debate. So we know that all non-major party candidates, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he failed to qualify for the debate stage by the network's June 20th deadline. So Kennedy failed to meet the deadline to have access to the polling requirements set by CNN. So because he failed to meet that deadline, he won't be participating in tomorrow's event. So it will be just former President Donald Trump with current President Joe Biden in tomorrow's debate. It feels like 2016 all over again. That's what everybody is saying. It feels like 2016 all over again. And it's like, who wants to deal with the repeat of an election from 2016? And here we are 4 years later, and some are for President Biden, and some are not. People are saying that they're thinking about the economy as well as inflation when they go to the polls this November. And people are also thinking about the high interest rates, which has affected credit card charges as well as mortgage rates. So, right now, here in the United States of America, there are a lot of things that people will have on their minds as they head to the ballot. But I think that this debate is going to give voters and individuals a clear understanding as to who they want to represent them in the White House. So we have the Biden and the Trump campaigns. They're sharing their interests and they're talking about, what they're doing to prepare for this debate. And to be honest with you, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm quite frankly tired of hearing about it. When I hear stuff like Biden is held up in Camp David preparing for this debate, they talk like he's about to enter the ring and he's going to be in a fight with former President Donald Trump, and he has to prepare himself for this debate because he's going to be in this ring and he needs to be able to hold his stamina. When I think that the American people just simply want to hear a plan, you know? And I think that so far, neither candidate has expressed or talked about what their plan is, maybe except Donald Trump. Donald Trump has this plan of revenge. He's going after the people who has come after him. And I think that his biggest concern or his biggest job is going to be to do away with the Justice Department. And that is because the Justice Department has come after him due to the January 6th coup on the Capitol, and rightfully so. I don't think that anyone is exempt. And speaking of anyone being exempt, he has a case with the Supreme Court on immunity. So there are several things pending around Trump as a candidate, and not even to speak about the fact that he is a convicted felon on 34 counts. But for some people, it doesn't matter. They're still going to vote for Donald Trump. And for some people, it doesn't matter about the economy or inflation because they are still going to support President Biden. So at the end of the day, everyone has their candidate. So we have Biden and we have Trump that is going to debate in CNN's Atlanta studios tomorrow. I think the debate is coming on, I'm not even sure. It might be 8 p.m., 9 p.m. But if you watch the news and you follow the news, it's something that they're going to constantly talk about. So I'm sure that you're not going to miss it. But let's delve into how this debate may go. So I'm sure that Donald Trump is going to come out talking, and his talking points or attack is going to be on the border because Biden has failed so far to secure the border. But at the same time, the Republicans were told by Donald Trump not to do a border deal because he wants to run on that for this election. So that's the catch 22 here. It's not that Biden failed to secure it. The Republicans refused to seal a deal on it because they're listening to Donald Trump as this being his calling card or his debate and him running on that for this election. Because when you think about it, when you think about what Trump is going to run on, I'm sure he's going to talk about inflation. I'm sure he's going to talk about interest rates being high. I'm sure he's going to talk about, how families are spending all this money at the like I'm sure these are going to be all his talking points because this is where Biden and Kamala Harris are weak with regards to the economy. I'm sure he's going to talk about gas prices because these are all the things that the American people are concerned about. I, for one, am concerned about it because inflation is high. Families are having a hard time feeding their children, feeding, period, or being able to buy groceries or afford groceries on the salaries that they make. Gas prices are high. People are talking about how and what they're paying in gas prices. We have mortgage rates high. There's a lot of people who are stumped on their home purchases because of the high mortgage rates. I mean, they feel as though, and there is like this looming war in the Middle East that Biden has us in the middle of, and some people don't like because he's constantly helping Ukraine. But that's a story for another subject because it kind of goes into details as to why the president has taken a stance with Ukraine because they're all a part of NATO. So you can't let these different countries that are in NATO or part of NATO just fall by the wayside. But that's a conversation for a whole other time. We're talking about tomorrow's presidential debate. Who is going to be tuned in? Who is actually going to watch the debate? Because CNN has shared the topics that will be covered. And we do know, as I stated, that border security is going to be one of them, as well as immigration. You have a lot of people angry about immigration. And I don't think they're angry about immigration because people are just coming from another country. I think the anger is due to the fact that, immigrants are coming here and they're raping, they're killing, they're acting as if, you know, this is something that they can do. Now, don't get me wrong, we have Americans raping and killing, but I think that when you have the news report that these things are going on, they highlight the fact that they're immigrants because they want people to know that this is what they're doing while they're coming into this country. So we know that's going to be the number one topic because it's on everybody's mind. And they're both topics that former President Donald Trump has hammered on. Because, since maybe since he since he ran, I think against Hillary Clinton. I don't know, I'm kind of lost on the details. He was going to build this wall to stop immigrants from coming into this country, but the wall never happened. Um, so I'm sure that that's going to come up in tomorrow's debate, but I'm sure that Biden is going to ride on Roe versus Wade, uh, women's issues, this abortion battle, because Trump, former President Donald Trump, was pivotal and the reversal of that law. And you have women's rights that is going to be on the ballot. And I'm sure that Biden is also, come on now, y'all know, he's going to talk about Trump's felony conviction on 34 counts. Now, some Americans don't care. They don't care that he's a convicted convict. But my issue with that is that if he's a convicted convict and he can run for president of the United States, then that means that convicted convicts should be able to vote. Why not? Because you have Donald Trump who's setting the precedent, because he's running for president of the United States as a convicted felon. So people are wearing T-shirts. I'm voting for the convicted felon. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, what has American people come to? Like, you would want to elect a convicted felon to run and sit in the highest office of the country. Like, people don't have a problem with that. So it's like, where's the moral fiber here? Or are there any that this would not even be taken into consideration? Now, don't get me wrong. The whole Stormy Daniels payoff case related to the hush money, I couldn't understand how that would convict him of a crime, because come on. People talked about how Clinton probably paid off all of the women that came out when he was running. But I think that the difference here is that Trump tried to hide something. And whatever it was he tried to hide, it made it a felony, or it made it a crime because of something. It was some type of document that he tried to. And I'm not talking about the whole Florida document case. No, this has something to do with the hush money case. There was something that he tried to hide, which made this against the law, which is why the FBI reached out to his lawyer, Michael Cohen, to begin with. And Michael Cohen began cooperating with them because it was like President Donald Trump left him holding the bag. It was like he said to Michael Cohen, you're my fixer. You handle it. I'm going to the White House. And he left Michael Cohen holding the bag. So Michael Cohen felt like, well, I'm going to cooperate with the FBI. Yeah, I'm going to lose my law license, but this is the right thing to do. Yeah, it's going to, bother my family or affect my family, but this is the right thing to do. And I think that his father had a lot to do with the fact that he actually cooperated with the FBI and felt some type of remorse for his role working for the Trump organization. So I think that's how that whole thing unfolded. But for people to actually be wearing T-shirts and selling T-shirts that say, yes, I'm voting for the convicted felon, I think that these people feel, or they think, that he's gotten a rotten deal, that this case should have never saw the light of day, and that he is being railroaded, New York just did him dirty. So they just think that, oh my God, why wouldn't I vote for the convicted felon? And I'm like, wow, that's some real dedication because you're actually thinking that a case was brought before a jury on a former president without any repercussions or any bearings for the real fact of the law. If there wasn't smoke, there wouldn't be fire. So, really, people? I mean, come on. And when I think about former President Donald Trump, my issue is like, let me be clear. My issue is that he ignited a coup on the Capitol on January 6th. Police officers were not only hurt, but some of them were killed. And his followers and supporters, they marched on the Capitol at his command. And I think that that is something that he needs to be held accountable for. And if he did that then, what would he do now? And you have individuals who are wrestling with that question because they don't want to vote for Biden and they don't want to vote for Trump. So they feel like the only choice is to sit it out. Well, why vote at all? Because I don't like either of the candidates. So why vote? But I think that this election is also crucial because you have President Donald Trump talking about the things that he's going to do away with. And he has a liberal Supreme Court to make that happen. And if he gets back in office, he's going to make it more liberal. So let's think about the Supreme Court justices. Because, yeah, they're a little shady. There's some corruption there. You want to know why? Because they're accepting gifts, they're accepting money, they're accepting payoffs. They are telling you indiscreetly and kind of like on the low what side they're on. You have Justice Alito, his wife, she flew the American flag upside down outside of their Jersey condo. So let's see. The American flag, the one thing that a lot of Trump supporters carried on January 6th was the American flag because, after all, President Trump is calling them prisoners of war. They're prisoners of war. That's what he's saying they are. And by the way, if President Trump is elected, he's going to pardon the ones who were already convicted and sent to jail. So that means that they will no longer be held accountable for their crime. Do you see where this is going? So it seems kind of backwards and upside down because it's like the wrong is right and the right is wrong. It's like a reversal here. It's a reversal. So when you think about that, you think about how it is very important to vote. It is very important to vote. There's going to be at least 300 seats up, I think, in the Senate alone. So it's important to vote. These legislators, they will apply the law. They will be able to change policies. They will be able to govern on your behalf. So while some of us want to sit out this election, don't. I think that it is going to be crucial to vote. And as far as this debate, if your mind is made up, mm, I wouldn't watch it. I know I'm not going to. I don't plan to, unless they're going to have it on almost every channel. I don't plan to watch it. I just don't. I don't want to see the. I don't want to see the circus when it comes to town. I just don't. But they're talking about how they're going to have it under control. There's going to be no audience. They are going to control the mic, and Donald Trump is not happy about that because he said that he needs the audience to encourage him. How can he be encouraged? How will he know that he's doing well if there is no audience present? And he needs an audience because he needs to know that he's doing well. But there will be no audience. The only audience present will be those backstage that maybe go, or those who will be sitting at home watching it. That will be the only audience. And then they'll talk about who won, who they think lost, and so on and so forth. But I think the fact that this is something that they're preparing for, well, Donald Trump, not really, because he's just going to get up there and he's going to wing it. He said there's nothing to prepare for. He said that he's ready for a good debate. But Biden has to prepare. Biden has to be sharp because he already has certain things working against him. And one of them is the media. I think the media is his biggest critic. Not only is the media his biggest critic, comedians are his biggest critics. Everyone is talking about Biden and Biden's age. And some people are insulted by that. But I'm going to tell you something. I listened to Jill Biden, and she's his number one cheerleader. And I guess she would have to be because she's his wife. She talks about him like she has a lot of confidence in him. And because of that, it's almost like he can't go wrong. He really cannot go wrong. We are experiencing bad thunderstorms in this area, and my internet is going in and out. So if I get disconnected and the show ends, just know that it was the storm. But I will say that tomorrow the debate is going to air on CNN. The network is also allowing other broadcast C and cable news networks to air it as well. And CBS will be one of them. ABC will also be one of them. And this debate is scheduled to last for 90 minutes. So that's 90 minutes of your time to hear two candidates go at it just as they did in 2016. It doesn't sound too exciting, does it? But as I was saying, Biden Biden has to practice. Biden has to prepare because one little stumble over a word, if he says Clinton instead of Trump, if he says Israel and he means Gaza, but he says something else, the media is coming for him because they're going to be like, oh, he's 81. Oh, he forgot. Oh, his memory is slipping. Oh, we don't think he's up for the job. They're going to say all that when Trump is only what, 3 to 4 years behind him. So at the end of the day, it's still the nursing home versus the nursing home. It's just that one candidate is on the first floor and the other one is on the fourth. That's the only difference. This election is about democracy. Democracy is on the line. And I hate that that is the Democrats' only defense. They need something else because their line and that line is pretty tired. I'm sorry that Roe versus Wade was overturned and that, abortion rights, were affected for those women who may have been raped. But for those who are just having abortions, it's like, be more careful when you have sex. Be careful with these reproductive rights that are on the line. It's like when you think about it. And, I'm not pro or con, for or against, but this is what's going to be on the ballot. And this is what women are talking about. So I guess this is why both candidates or one candidate, which is the current President Biden, he has to prepare because he knows that he has to have some answers for the people because people are looking for answers because they right now are saying they'd rather not vote than to vote for either one of them. They would just say they would rather not vote than to vote for either one of them. But democracy is on the line. And the reason why I say democracy is on the line, because we have a convicted felon running. He wants to overturn the Constitution. He wants to do away with the DOJ. He wants people who were a part of January 6th to be pardoned. And that was against the law. What was done was against the law. People lost their lives. And I'm sorry. They should be held accountable for that. Because as I stated on my show, when that happened, had that been a bunch of black people who stormed the Capitol and it was President Barack Obama that formed the coup, he'd be in jail already. And he wouldn't dare be seeking a second term. And if he was convicted on 34 counts in a sex case, hush money trial, he would be in jail until he was sentenced. So we all know at the end of the day, this is bull crap. It really is. But it's one person getting away with it and another person would not. So I think that no one is above the law. I'm sorry. And that is regardless of your skin color. And Donald Trump and his cohorts need to be held responsible for what happened on January 6th because people lost their lives. And that should never be forgotten. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week for next week's conversation. And yes, I have to start inviting guests so that this can be a two-way conversation. Until then, be safe, stay dry if you're in the tri state area, and I'll see you next week. Bye.